While traveling along a highway near the town of Murreville in Redania, the Witcher, Geralt of Rivia, and his trusted horse Roach spotted birds circling in the forest nearby. Hoping it might lead to profit, they investigated, finding the dead bodies of a merchant from the Armorers Guild and a young girl with a blue rose pinned to her dress. While the man was torn apart by wolves and birds, the girl had distinct bite marks on her neck, which ruled out either of those animals. Curious about why the merchant veered from the highway, Geralt followed the path until coming upon a wall pushed right up against the trees of the forest. Suddenly, Roach became agitated to the point where he was calmed with a Witcher sign, and realizing they were not alone, Geralt turned to see a young girl watching him from a hill, who ran away when he approached. Following the wall, Geralt found a magical gate which opened when touched, leading to a poorly maintained mansion with a dolphin fountain and blue rose bush. Yet as he examined his surroundings, all the doors and shutters of the home flew open with a crash, and a monster dressed in tattered finery, with the head of a bear, huge white fangs, and sharp claws, charged at him in a fury. In no way intimidated, Geralt swiftly pulled the sword from his back, forcing the beast to halt his mad dash, and so he instead roared threats, demanding that the intruder flee. However, when he realized Geralt was not scared and would not run, the beast calmed down and spoke with far more civility to ask why he came. The Witcher lied, saying he was lost and asked for his horse to be given water. Annoyed but intrigued by this man with no fear, the beast invited him inside, but warned against making trouble, as the home was magical and obeyed his commands. Along the walls of the mansion were faded portraits and hunting trophies, including the head of a rock dragon killed by the beast's father. As they ate a delicious meal prepared by magic, the beast, whose name was Nivelan, started to reveal his life story. Pointing to a portrait on the wall, Geralt saw an image of a pale, ugly young man with a sad, spotty face, identified as Nivelan before his transformation. With Geralt able to see the painting, even though it was on a far, poorly lit wall, the beast grew tense, realizing his guest was a Witcher. But the White Wolf made it clear he did not consider his host a monster, and was not paid to hunt him down, and so the conversation continued. Now understanding that his monstrous appearance was a result of magic, the Witcher offered his help in uncasting the spell, but to his surprise, Nivelan refused, and revealed the rest of his story. Before becoming the beast, he was the young son of a gang leader and petty lord, growing rich from taxing the locals and robbing those who passed by the highway. One day, his father was killed in battle, and so Nivelan inherited the leadership of a group of ruffians who thought him weak and took advantage, manipulating him into making the gang more aggressive and ambitious, traveling further out to raid and plunder. But everything changed when they attacked a temple in Gelibol, where the brigands found and held down a lone priestess, pressuring their leader to rape her and become a man. Intimidated and desperate for their approval, he did as they asked and violated her, but the woman resisted by spitting in his face and screamed that he was a monster in human skin, casting a curse upon him involving love and blood before killing herself with a dagger hidden in her hair. Terrified, the gang fled back home, and a few days later, Nivelan awoke in the form of a beast, possessing magical control over the mansion. Going mad with panic, he trashed his home and ran off his family, servants, and other gang members, as well as anyone else who ventured onto his property. Yet on one such occasion, when the beast confronted someone trying to steal a blue rose from his garden, the old man begged for mercy, stating he simply wanted a flower for his daughter. Upon hearing this, Nivelan recalled stories from his youth about pretty maids who kissed frogs and turned them into princes. Deciding to give it a try, he angrily demanded the man's daughter in exchange for his life, but the sobbing father soon explained his girl was only 8. Filling the beast with such sympathy and remorse, he ensured his guest left with a bag of treasure taken from the riches accrued by the old gang. Leaving the mansion in high spirits, the man must have spread word about his adventure, because soon enough another father came, this time with his daughter at the ready. Striking a bargain, Nivelan gave him a large bag of treasure, and in return, his daughter agreed to stay for a year. Though hesitant at first, the girl proved kind and intelligent, and the two slowly grew closer, but after a year, she left with her father, and once again, he was alone. Having enjoyed his time with a companion, he decided to take another, this time a joyful and energetic girl named Fenna, who did not fear him at all, and so they steadily grew closer until becoming intimate. After their first night together, the beast ran to the mirror, but was disappointed to see the curse remained. Though they enjoyed their time together, after a year she returned to her former life, where she was preparing to marry a tavern owner. The next girl was Primula, the daughter of an impoverished knight, and she proved more aggressive and adventurous than any of the others, asking him to ravage her like a beast during their intimate nights together. But still, the curse was not lifted. Yet instead of feeling further despair, Nivelan was starting to see that life as a terrifying monster really wasn't so bad. Before, he was skinny, weak, and unattractive, mocked by even the lowest girls. But now, he was big and strong, never suffering from sickness, and even owned a magical mansion. In addition, there was now a litany of fathers who couldn't wait to sell him their daughters for a period of time, maidens far more beautiful and fine than any girl he could have attracted as his old self. The women themselves also benefited from the arrangement, as they got to leave the harshness of their normal lives, where they washed and cooked for men who sometimes beat them, and instead lived in a mansion as a princess for a year, enjoying finery and the best food, along with a dutiful companion who lavished them with praise and gifts, so strong he could defend them from any danger. After Primula, the beast started to get bored of the same routine, which continued with the next two girls, Ilka and Venemira, and with his wealth depleting, he chose to take longer breaks between companions. Nevertheless, he was largely content with his life, and so in the end had 3 reasons why he wanted to remain a beast. First, it kept him in good health. Second, the fact he was different was fascinating to women, and he was now able to bed beautiful maidens who otherwise wouldn't give him a chance. And third, his curse kept everyone away, which ensured his safety from the enemies he and his father made as gang leaders. Interested by his story, Geralt asked if Nivelan was currently living alone, and he was hesitant to answer, but the Witcher already knew the truth, recalling the girl outside the mansion, and concluded that the merchant and young lady who were killed must have come seeking the beast, only to be turned away because another companion was present. Preparing to leave, Geralt imparted what information he could, stating that the curse must have been cast by a priestess from the church of Coram Aktera, the lion-headed spider, and as a result required abilities more powerful than his own to be unmade. He also revealed that the current companion, Verina, was likely a Rusalka, or water nymph, beings who were all female and so mated with other species to procreate. Nivelan suspected the same, as she did not eat and spoke in a strange language, but he didn't care, because she was not some daughter who would leave him in a year, claiming that they were genuinely in love. Having come to trust his guest, the beast asked for advice about his ever-worsening nightmares, which they both suspected meant his condition was worsening, and he might soon start attacking people in the night. When Geralt made it clear nothing could be done, Nivelan asked him to return as a witcher and kill him if he ever became an uncontrollable beast. Departing from the mansion, Geralt did not return to the highway, and instead took a shortcut through the forest, camping out on a hill. In the night, he heard mad howling, eerie singing, and the screams of a tortured woman. The next day, while Roach drank at a stream, she was startled by an ordinary ring of mushroom caps, leading the Witcher to calm her with a sign. This event was enough for Geralt to recall how scared Roach became when they met Verina outside the mansion, and suddenly it all came together. The bite marks on the girl with the blue rose, the companion's appearance, Nivelan's dreams, the singing in the night, and Roach being friendly with the beast, but scared of the young girl. Verina was a vampire. Rushing back to the mansion, he found her leaning against the dolphin statue, having just feasted on the beast's blood. Geralt resolved that she was attracted to Nivelan because he could protect her from most dangers, and so seduced him to become lady of the manor. Yet while the beast appeared as a monster, he was in fact quite civil, and so Verina manipulated his dreams to make him increasingly wild and aggressive, training him to kill on her behalf. His resistance to corruption, however, led her to take more drastic measures, now feeding on his blood to further darken his mind so they might rule the forest together as vampire and beast. Though he suspected her of being a Mula or Alpor vampire, she denied it, and so realized she was a Bruxa, an extremely dangerous creature with sharp claws, a piercing howl, enhanced agility, and increased speed, even able to transform into a large bat. Engaging in a brutal duel, Geralt fought with a silver sword and used the Quen sign to create a shield which protected from sonic screams, but at times she proved too powerful and broke through. When Nivelan arrived, bloody and stumbling, he started yelling, and when he distracted Verina for the second time, she screamed and sent him crashing into wooden scaffolding. Yet even so, he would not stay down, and as she prepared to finish off the Witcher, the beast reappeared and stabbed her through the chest with a pole. Dying, the Bruxa pulled herself further along the stake, hoping to claw at Nivelan so they could die together, and in Geralt's head, he heard her voice saying, "Mine or nobody's. I love you. Love you." Seeing what she had planned, the Witcher swung his sword and took off her head, saving the beast. In both physical and emotional pain, Nivelan collapsed and curled into a ball, only to rise moments later as a handsome, well-built man. The curse was lifted. Shocked, happy, and sad all at once, the former beast asked the Witcher what happened, and he replied, "There's a grain of truth in every fairy tale, love and blood. They both possess a mighty power." In other words, the love of Verena, mixed with the blood she shed upon being killed, must have uncast the spell, which meant the Bruxa, despite using the beast and manipulating him so she might kill freely in the night, really did love him in a way no other companion ever had. As Geralt finally put it, it has to be true love. Love The Witcher or any other series? Then why not check out Audible, where they have the largest collection of audiobooks available. Sign up now and get 1 free audiobook and 2 Audible originals, or else give the gift of membership to someone you know. If you prefer to read your stories, then click on the link to the Kindle Unlimited plan and get access to as many ebooks as you want. If you haven't already, be sure to check out the excellent Witcher audiobooks, narrated by Peter Kenny, including the main novels and short stories which accompany the series. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like the Spectral Knight, Ty Gillian Frazier, Don Willie, and Magic the Shaman. If you'd like to help the channel, go to patreon.com/CivilizationEx, where you can sign up and gain early access to videos, vote on future content, and access the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.